A look at the UN there. While the war in Ukraine is grabbing most of the headlines from the United Nations, much of today's summit was dominated by the conflicts in the Middle East, including a history-making address. Senior correspondent Eric Shawn has the story from the UN tonight.
Chants against the Iranian president. Anti-regime protesters also praising President Trump for his June strikes on the Iranian nuclear program. But inside, it was a different tune. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian says the U.S. and Israel violated international law and claimed that his country will never seek to build a nuclear bomb.
The aerial assaults of the Zionist regime and the United States of America against Iran's cities, homes, and infrastructures, precisely at a time when we were treading the path of diplomatic negotiations, constituted a grave betrayal of diplomacy.
The Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, has ruled out nuclear negotiations with the United States, but is continuing with Britain, France, and Germany. His country has just 3 days to reach a deal or face the reimposition of full UN snapback sanctions. Also speaking today, the Syrian president.
The Assembly will now hear an address by His Excellency Hamad al-Shara.
The last time a Syrian president addressed the General Assembly was 58 years ago, 1967. Today, Ahmed al-Shara stood in front of the green marble podium, even though he is still on the UN terrorist list. He founded the terrorist group Al-Qaeda in Syria and led the al-Nusra Front, but presented a different image as a head of state.
I declare before you today the triumph of truth over falsehood. Syria is reclaiming its rightful place among the nations of the world.
Despite his apparent new leaf, al-Shara said that he stands in solidarity with Russia, and like his predecessors, he criticized Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will address the General Assembly on Friday. Brett.
Eric Shawn, live outside the UN. Eric, thanks.
New York, as President Donald Trump's new peace plan circulates at the United Nations. Israel launched long-range strikes deep inside Yemen, hitting targets more than 2,000 kilometers from home and underscoring how volatile the Middle East remains, even as diplomacy plays out in New York. Trump unveiled a 21-point initiative to end the Gaza war during meetings with Arab leaders on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly this week. A White House official, speaking on background, told Fox News Digital, the president underscored his desire to bring fighting in Gaza to an expeditious close. Special Envoy Witkoff summarized the U.S. plan for Gaza, including the return of all hostages living and deceased, no further attacks on Qatar, a new dialogue between Israel and Palestinians for peaceful coexistence, and more. Foreign partners expressed broad agreement that President Trump was the only one who could end the fighting in Gaza, and expressed the hope that they could work together with Special Envoy Witkoff to consider the president's plan as Americans continue to engage with Israeli officials, the White House official added. Arab officials told Fox News Digital that, during the meeting, leaders pressed Trump to confirm he would block Israeli annexation of the West Bank, describing the discussion as productive. Speaking at the Concordia Annual Summit in New York, U.S. Special Envoy for the Middle East, Steve Witkoff also described a very productive meeting Tuesday between Trump and officials from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Indonesia, and Pakistan. We presented what we call the Trump 21-point plan for peace in the Middle East, Witkoff said. I think it addresses Israeli concerns as well as concerns of neighbors in the region. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, speaking in a recorded UNGA address after being barred from entry to the U.S., also signaled support. We declare that we are ready to work with U.S. President Donald Trump and with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and France, the United Nations, and all partners to implement the peace plan that was approved in the conference that was held on the 22nd of September, in a way that would lead towards a just peace and regional cooperation, Abbas said. Abbas added that the PA is prepared to take over security and governance in Gaza, while Hamas must disarm. The dawn of freedom will emerge, and the flag of Palestine will fly high in our skies as a symbol of dignity, steadfastness, and being free from the yoke of occupation, he said. Palestine is ours. Jerusalem is the jewel of our hearts and our eternal capital. We will not leave our homeland. We will not leave our lands. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, before departing for New York, where he is scheduled to address the UNGA Friday, said without directly commenting on the 21-point proposal, "In Washington, I will meet for the 4th time with President Trump and I will discuss with him the great opportunities our victories have brought, as well as our need to complete the war's objectives, to return all of our hostages, to defeat Hamas, and to expand the circle of peace that has come our way following the historic victory. Even as Trump pushed diplomacy in New York, Israel expanded its campaign against Iran-backed militias. The IDF confirmed Thursday it carried out a wide wave of airstrikes against Houthi targets in Sana'a, Yemen, less than 24 hours after a Houthi drone slammed into a hotel in Eilat, wounding 24 people, 2 of them seriously. Saudi and Israeli media reported more than 10 strikes during the Houthis weekly address, targeting command centers, intelligence headquarters, and military compounds. Israeli officials estimate over 50 militants were killed. The IDF said the operation involved dozens of aircraft and long-range refueling, marking Israel's 15th strike in Yemen since the war began. Defense Minister Israel Katz said the raids, carried out under the codename Package Delivered, dealt a heavy blow. We struck numerous terror targets of the Houthi regime in Sana'a, eliminating dozens of operatives and destroying stockpiles of drones and weapons, Katz declared. As I promised yesterday, those who harm us will be harmed sevenfold.